Well, hello there. My name is Alaydriem, and welcome back to Bedrock. Now, today in this episode, we've got a little bit of a head scratcher going on. We're just going to jump straight right in, just jump on down, and not get any sound come out of that block. We got some weird stuff going on with that artifact that we found in the last episode. I didn't hear it in the last episode when I was moving things over here, but now that I've moved this artifact into this area, I'm starting to hear something come from it, and it's not that pulsing from that. I'm gonna figure out how to turn that sound off. But do you hear that? Do you hear that? That sounds like this thing is either trying to broadcast something or it's picking something up, and I have absolutely no idea why this thing would even do that. I don't know how this works. This thing is just a total mystery to me. So in this episode, we are going to try and figure out what exactly is going on with this and try to get some more precise instrumentation set up so that we can figure out if this thing's broadcasting anything, if it's receiving anything, and if so, what that thing is. But to do that, we are going to need some more materials. In our last episode, we built those cranes, and it has just completely exhausted our copper supply. As you see here, only got 54 blocks of copper left and not a lot of copper ingots. So we are going to need to go down into the mines, or probably more specifically, just a random cave system we find, and see if we can find ourselves a ton more copper that we can smelt down, that we can fortune to hopefully build the necessary instrumentation and antennas figure out what this thing is. And fortunately, I think I know just the perfect place for us to go in order to find copper. All of these cave systems around here, I've pretty much exhausted them, but if we come over here to where our lovely spider farm is, somewhere down in here, I think we've left this mostly untapped. Where'd I put that spider farm? Oh yeah, it's in this really nook. I should put a torch here or something so I know where this is a little bit easier. But down in here, in the deep spooky dark, I think there's plenty of copper down here. So we are gonna start right down here, make sure our Elytra activates. Ooh, that would have been really scary. And see if we can't, oh my gosh, there's so many skeletons. We're gonna try to get some copper, but we're gonna try not to die while doing it because there are so many mobs down here. All right, hold on. Let's pull ourselves back together real quick. Ooh, I don't like all these skeletons. Why are there so many mobs? Why are there so many mobs now and not mobs when I need them for my farms? That's the real question we need to ask. So I am going to look at all this. Look at all this, so many mobs. I'm gonna go find ourselves some copper blocks, mine those up, and see where we end up. Hey there. No. Restrain yourself, Alaydriem. Leave the llama alone. Leave the llama alone. All right. So fortunately, copper in this world is super duper abundant. We've got, what is this? This is a half shulker box of just raw copper ore blocks. Yeah, I think that this is going to be more than enough because we're going to get 6 to 9 copper ores out of each of these. So it's going to be 3 or 4 shulker boxes full of this stuff. Yeah, we are going to have tons of copper. This is one resource that I am always super duper glad that it is so abundant. So we're just going to build ourselves a massive, huge tower here and then proceed to enjoy the world from Y237. Oh, it's a really long drop. Don't look down if you're afraid of heights. But then we're just gonna tear this whole tower down, and yeah. Oh, I might actually have to take a few breaks in between here because that's a lot of copper, and it's kind of falling off to the side. I'm not really picking it up as much. Maybe is there a better spot that I can be in? No, it's just gonna fall everywhere. So I need to work super duper quick to get down this massive tower so that all these copper ore blocks that I'm making don't actually despawn. And on to tower number 2. Look at this, we've already got one. Yeah, there's just a whole nother tower we gotta tear down. This takes a really long time. I wish that Minecraft Vanilla had a behavior like what's in the crate mod on Java, where you can like break these ore blocks down. That would be like super duper helpful in order to do like a lot. And now, so with our copper all broken down from the blocks, we're going to come over here to our super smelter array. And to expedite this, we're actually going to pop off this barrel and make sure that these are actually empty. Something's going on a little weird here. We are going to use shulker boxes and just pop these directly in place. So I've got about a third of a shulker box right here. I'm just going to fill up this front hopper. That should drain right down. I've got another one here. And then I've got one shulker box filled up and then another two completely full of copper. So I'm just going to get these things primed right here. Pop on each of these shulker boxes right on top of this entire system, and that should allow all of those to flow into each of the furnaces we have down there. Yep, just heard it all light up. And then probably spend the next 15 or 20 minutes or so converting all of these into copper blocks, and maybe a couple iron blocks too. Probably gonna need to clear out this barrel that we have right here that has all our items in it. And what I really want to do is I want to make sure I don't accidentally convert these into the cut copper. I just want the copper blocks, because you can't switch them back after you make the cut copper. And with several full stacks of copper blocks now in place, it is time for us to turn our attention back to this. I have risked going into this really radioactive chamber here and added some antennas to see if that would help clear up the signal. It didn't. It didn't do absolutely anything. So what we're going to need to do is probably build a tower on the highest place that we possibly can and see if we can't amplify this signal somehow. And in between the last episode, I spent some work hardening the camera so that we could have it near this thing. So why don't you sit back, relax, enjoy the music, and let's start ourselves a build time lapse. And one time lapse later, we finally have ourselves our relay system that we're going to use to try and decipher what this thingy is. Oh, hello there, little tall double grass. So let's take a look at what we have built. We've actually done a couple of things here and tried to knock down a couple of things that we've been working on. So first and foremost, we got everything wired up to our mega mansion over here. And I think I'm going to use that room down there where we keep all of our amethysts, kind of as a control station. We've got wires going over to this antenna, and then I have bridged this antenna all the way over to this super tall mountain distance. You can even see that tower. Now, you probably saw in the time lapse, I was trying to be clever with these leads and tried to get some bunnies up there. And I was trying to get these to be like dangly wires with the leads so that I didn't have to use chains and, it actually really connect. I even put a tower right here to see if I can get it to connect. And I could not get it to connect to those fence posts. So suspend your disbelief just a little bit. Hello there, bunny. Just suspend your disbelief that, these are actually connected, because I don't know how to actually connect them in Minecraft. So just pretend with me that they are. Okay, they're connected. We're using our imagination. But got a tower here, tower comes down over here, and then we got a straight shot over to here, connects to that. Got a chain running to wire that up. Same thing over here. And then we loop around and try to move our way up this mountain one massive step at a time. So ping, pong, ping all the way up here, back to there, and then to our radio house. Now then, this radio house is very, very simple. It is literally meant to be a building that we can have out here by our radio antenna tower. It's not meant to be pretty. It's meant to be functional. It's meant to be when you're in the blistering cold needing to do maintenance on this, you've got a bed to sleep on, you've got some fire to keep you warm, and you got some storage for all of the spare parts that you may need. Really, basically just make sure that this place doesn't freeze over because we are encased in ice up here. But have a really kind of gnarly path that goes up here, and sometimes it's just the best you can do. But look at this tower. The tower is so neat. And oh my. Well, I definitely think the radio is starting to do something, because that bunny just jumped off the edge there. So maybe I need to put like a perimeter fence around this tower so it doesn't affect the local wildlife. We'll probably need to see about that. But one other thing that we need to show off besides this tower, I don't know, this is so simple. It's just red and white wool with a couple of things. I know I don't like making things out of wool, but it's so simple, and it just does the job. That's a radio tower. You look at it, it's a radio tower. No questions asked. I thought this would be more complex to make more realistic. No, that's it. But let me show you one other thing that we have done in this area, and it's not by the radio tower. It is actually down way down here. So you remember like in episode 5 or so when I said, man, we really need a horse path that we could take our horse on and get all the way through here? Yep, that's what this is. We now have a horse path that travels all the way, and it just follows these antenna powers that we have going on right here. This goes all the way back to our base, snakes and curves around, and it looks a little beat up. And I think that kind of fits the scheme that we have going on here, the theme, and that this really isn't all that used ever since we got our Elytra. So we haven't really been taking our horse around it. So the path is still here, but it's not super duper well maintained. I think maybe we could add in, a couple pieces of dirt block, maybe just to brighten it up. But I think having the grass really reclaim a lot of the path kind of really reinforces the idea that this isn't super duper well maintained anymore. But yeah, that's a good view right there. Yeah, really happy with how this whole area is starting to turn out. Now, let's turn our attention back to this mysterious object that we have stashed down in our path. I think I'm getting closer to figuring out what it is. So I've wired this up, got some really thick copper pipes and some cladding that's running all the way over to our mystery machine over here. And I don't know, maybe you can hear that. Stuff has changed. It's making different noises now. So hooking this up to our radio tower has definitely done something. Something has definitely changed, and I think I have a pretty good idea of what this thing may be doing. But first, before I talk about that, let's go upstairs into the amethyst rune in our mansion so I can show you what the control system for this thing looks like. Now, moving over into our amethyst room, if you remember in our mansion here, we just have a bunch of amethyst in here. We've got a purpose for this room now, and it is going to be our central control room for controlling everything. I've got a map of the towers that I built so I can kind of monitor to see if they're doing anything. We got all sorts of buttons and levers at our disposal to control every aspect of that radio tower. Even got a few bookshelves over here where I can store any of the technical information that I've needed to write in order to get this to function. And that would be a really good spot for a chiseled bookshelf, by the way. We also have two kind of power poles here. When I flip those levers on, that will enable both reception and transmission of signals coming out of this mystery artifact that we have. So let me tell you a couple things I observed and give you what I think this thing might be doing. So first and foremost, when we were running through that time lapse, obviously had some music going, this thing appears to be acoustically sensitive in some kind. It's obviously some sort of high energy thing that fell down onto our world, but it appears to be sensitive to sound and music. And I think we can potentially use that to get it calibrated and back to a working state. I think it might actually have been damaged when it crashed down into that mystery pond that we had found earlier. So what I am going to try to do is I'm going to try to pump music and sound into that device using this radio tower as an amplifier, and hopefully I can also try to get it to pick up any type of signals that it's trying to receive from somewhere else, because it's definitely trying to receive something. And I think if we can get this thing re-acoustically calibrated to the correct frequency that it's at, it might just reveal some of its secrets to us and we can find out what this mystery object is. So that's what my plan is for the next episode, because I don't think we're going to have enough time for it in this one to get all of the correct calibration in place. But that's going to be it for me in this episode. As always, I super duper appreciate you guys watching that. You guys have made it to this end of the video. I think if you made it this far, maybe you like the video, maybe you like the content, maybe you like the direction the story is going in. I'd love to hear your feedback on it. Feel free to leave your comments down below in the comment section. It's my favorite place to be here on YouTube. And if you like this video, please consider giving it a like. If you want to see more of this story, more of these videos, more tutorials, make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon down there in the YouTube section so that you get notified whenever I post new content. I have new content that comes out every Tuesday and Thursdays at 2:30 Central. But that's going to be it for me in this episode. Once again, thank you so much for watching. And remember, you are always welcome here on Bedrock. And I will see you in the next episode. Goodbye.